cocktail sessions, educational and inspirational talks from experienced startup founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders.
Hey everybody. So just very, very quickly, my background. So I spent 10 years with PricewaterhouseCoopers, ended up as Associate Director within consulting. I then left PwC and went to work in Australia's largest retailer as the General Manager of Business Development within the liquor group, which was kind of fun. Then left there and went to work at Wagamama, which actually means cheeky, naughty, selfish in Japanese. It's an amazing story why that name came up. Then I decided I wanted to do a startup. So 3 years ago, I started a website similar to Zappos, which is how I got into, I guess, to know Tony, who graciously offered to help me with my company and invited me to come over here. So I've been to the US a few times, just on Tony's invitation, which has been fantastic. Just recently sold that company. Now wondering what to do next. But over the last 5 or 6 years, which is, I guess, the thread of this talk, I've actually been an executive coach. I've been a mentor, a trainer with a bunch of startups and a bunch of other small, medium-sized companies because I was coached myself and had an amazing experience. And I wanted to learn how to do it so I could be a better parent, so I could teach my kids to be, I guess, better human beings. I could also train some of my employees to just be better human beings and hopefully have the whole company really actualize. So self-actualization and Maslow's series is something I take very, very dearly. And I kind of figured it'd be an amazing place if everybody in a company was self-actualized and then that company itself would be self-actualized. So I call my coaching company Corporate Actualization. Now, talking about fears. One of my fears is that the entire audience falls asleep while I speak. So if you didn't know this, thank you, your state of mind and your physiology are linked. So what I'd love for you all to do, please, is stand up. Feel what it's like to stand up. I want you to bounce around a bit. I want you to shake your arms. A bit of woo! Woo! Awesome.
Woo! Shake it.
Okay. Hopefully that'll keep you awake. You can just sit down there.
Thank you for that, Mark.
Fingers crossed. All right. So I'm going to quickly talk to you about, in 10 minutes, and I could talk about for 10 days, I guess the impact of fear, how fear can actually affect entrepreneurs, but everybody in general. Now, fears come in lots of different shapes and sizes. They're big, they're small. Would anybody like to volunteer one of their fears?
Death.
Fear of death.
Being stuck in a job I don't want to be in.
Being stuck in a job you don't want to be in.
Fear of success.
Fear of success.
Public speaking.
Fear of public speaking. I share that one.
Really big spiders.
Big spiders. Avoid Australia, although it's the small ones that kill you. Rattlesnakes. Cool. So lots of different fears. They come in lots of different shapes and sizes. Could be a fear of conflict. Could be a fear of not wanting to tell your co-founder what you really think of them, which I heard someone talk about, my co-founder I love, just to clarify, in case he's watching this video. Could be a fear of not wanting to pick the phone up and make a cold call. Could be a fear of not wanting to raise money. Could be a fear of not wanting to start a business. Could be a fear of avoiding insecurity around, I've got a really cool high-paid job and now I'm going to leave that and go and start up a business. Lots and lots and lots and lots of fears. What I'm hoping to do in about 5 minutes is share with you 5 things that may help to overcome some of your fears. I really hope so. And if not, hopefully at least inspire you to maybe just delve a little bit more into some of the stuff that I've been privileged enough to learn. So, does anyone know what fear is? Because you can't touch it. It's not tangible. There is a physiological response, yeah. So fear generally is an emotion. It's an emotion that can actually manifest itself inside your body. Where do you normally feel fear? In your gut. Yeah, your heart flutters, you feel sick in the stomach. So there's definitely a physiological manifestation of fear, and there's also an emotional one as well. So my first tip for you is around emotions. Because the really cool thing about emotions is that you control them. So the first tip I'm going to teach you is around my 5 tools. And Esprit and I had a great conversation about this earlier today. You all have 4 powers. And these are 4 powers that nobody can take away from you. They are yours. But most people have never flexed the muscles of these 4 powers. And you might not even realize you have them. And when I'm in a coaching session with someone, I like to get them to feel as though they're in this force field. And within this bubble, nothing can touch them. They're completely safe. And you have these 4 powers. 2 internal powers, 2 external powers. Anyone like to hazard a guess as to what these powers are? 2 internal ones. Esprit?
It's emotions.
Feelings and thoughts are your 2 internal powers.
And speech and actions. Are like
Good girl. Speech and actions are your 2 external powers. So can I make you feel anything? Amanda, can I make you feel something if you didn't want to feel it?
No.
Can I make you be happy if you didn't really want to be happy? No. Can I make you say something if you didn't want to say it?
Of course.
But could I actually get you to say something? No. And could I stop you from walking up and punching me? I mean, I could defend myself, but if you wanted to walk up here and punch me, you could. And if you wanted to say to me, you're an idiot, you could. So we all have these 4 powers, 2 internal, 2 external. The 2 internal powers are the really cool ones because no one can actually see them happening. So your 2 internal powers are thought and emotion and feeling. So I control these powers. Nobody else can. So you can call me anything you want, but I will only choose to be angry or choose to be happy. So I'll only be angry or happy if I choose to be. You do not have that power over me. So one little tool. You control your feelings, you control your emotions. So if you feel fear, it's within your control to change that and turn it into something more empowering and recognize that it is just an emotion. What I tend to do is to listen to my body and say, okay, I'm feeling fear. I want to be in fear for like 5 seconds because it's not really empowering. I want to recognize what the message that fear's got for me, and then decide what action to take. And that's really what emotion is all about. It's the motion, it's the action. It's a message for you to then take some form of action. So the first tool, you control the powers, and if you don't want to be in a state of fear, it's within your control to change it. Second one, we are all meaning makers. I don't know who quoted this, but I love this quote. The meaning of life is to give life meaning. So if you can actually walk through your entire life, loading up as much meaning as you possibly can to everything that you do, I have found, and I hope you will too, that some of those fears drop away. For example, I really didn't like to look at cash flow forecasts. I didn't really like to look at P&L statements. I didn't get a lot of pleasure from that. However, in my head, I said to myself, okay, well, if I kind of don't do that, what might happen? Maybe my business might run out of money. Maybe I'll have to actually make 60 people redundant. Maybe I won't realize my dreams. Maybe I won't be able to afford school for my children. Maybe I won't be happy. And if you can load up enough meaning for that inside you, then just that meaning, just putting something that's maybe a little bit trivial that you think it is, loading up a whole bunch of meaning to it can actually give you that momentum to actually take the action and move on. So if you really don't want to cold call 200 people to get 100 tests for your new startup because that's what you really need, because Andy said you've got to prove it in the marketplace, and you don't want to pick up the phone, load up as much meaning as you possibly can, and you'll probably find that you can do it. So that's my second tip. Third tip. One of these is really, really important for you to be stable and happy. And that's to really understand the difference between self-esteem and self-confidence. So self-esteem is something that we should view ourselves as completely unconditionally valuable. So is anyone here a parent? Anyone want to be a volunteer? Your name?
Yeah.
Gail. You got a son, a daughter?
I've got 3 sons.
3 sons. And?
2 daughters.
Wow. Kudos you. So when your first child was born, was this boy or girl?
Girl.
Girl. So when your daughter was born, what value would you have put on your daughter?
Oh, just,
How much was she worth? Infinite.
yes.
Okay. And then a few weeks later when she cried in the night, did she diminish in value? And a few weeks after that, when
Yeah.
she had really curly nappies.
Sleepless nights and things like that, yeah.
But was your daughter any less valuable to you? No.
No,
And
no.
when she skipped her homework and got put on detention, was she any less valuable to you? And when she lost her job at McDonald's, was she any less valuable to you? No. So it's amazing. Our self-esteem, so treating ourselves as infinitely valuable, is not affected in any way, shape or form by any actions that we do in the real world. Not at all. You lose your job, your startup fails. Nothing should affect your self-esteem. And a lot of people mistake self-confidence with self-esteem, and then they get really depressed because, oh my God, my startup failed. I must be a disaster. You're totally not. You're an amazing human being, and nothing can change that. Self-confidence, on the other hand, does have its trials and tribulations. When we start off as a baby, we have zip self-confidence. Somebody else wipes our bum. Somebody else changes our nappy. No self-confidence. We gradually go through life. We get more and more confident. We have our ups and our downs, and it sort of goes up and down, up and down, up and down. Self-confidence is the historical sort of skills that you've learned, your ability to know that you can actually do something because you've done it before. Unfortunately, men have heaps more self-confidence than women, studies show, which is why men get some of the better jobs. So definitely the women in the room, self-confidence, definitely work on it. The other one is self-efficacy. Self-efficacy drives self-confidence. Self-efficacy is your understanding that you might not know how to code, but you know that you could learn it if you really wanted to. So there's no need to be fearful of launching a business because you're launching a website when you can't code, because you know if you really wanted to, you could learn it. The next tip, which is linked to that, is a community. If you surround yourself in an amazing community, you have access to coaches, to friends, to people in a network. It's not your self-efficacy because it's not necessarily a skill that you can do yourself, but you can tap into a community. Now this is an amazing community here. So all the entrepreneurs here, all the startups here, everyone in venture funds, you've got an amazing opportunity to leverage that community. That, in essence, should make you less fearful because you know someone's going to get you back if something goes wrong. And the final one real quick is risk management. I left it till last, I don't like it. But risk management is just managing your risk, sort of knowing the things you really, really can't do. I can't fly a helicopter. I know if I learned I could. If someone gave me the keys to a helicopter, I probably wouldn't take off because I probably would die. So it's knowing when you're taking too much risk, but equally also knowing when you're taking too little. That's the important thing. And with Downtime Project, there's a lot of people here are launching new things. There's a lot of potential for fear here. Equally, there's infinite possibility for you to overcome that fear. And I really hope you do, because I think this is an awesome thing. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mark. All right, so we're going to take a few questions. Who has the first question? Over here, okay.
In a business meeting or when you want to work with somebody, how do you go from an initial introduction, say you have an idea you share, to actually completing that into a project or something like that, into manifestation, as opposed to just getting lip service from the person nodding their head saying, yeah, well, that's a good idea, et cetera?
Could you repeat the question? So what is the, sorry.
How do you go from an initial meeting with somebody
Yep.
in an entrepreneurial, like let's say you have an idea,
Yep.
and you present that idea,
Yep.
and how do you go from that initial meeting, from them saying, yeah, that's a great idea, to actually implementing that idea and following through with them?
I guess it really depends on what the idea is and everything else. So I'll tell you how I did that with my startup. So we had the initial meeting. We said a lot of words. We got a lot of nodding heads. It was really only when we actually backed up some of our words with actions and some data points that we were really able to gauge whether they were really on board or not. I'm usually a pretty good judge of character, and I guess I've learned a lot about language and communication. And I try to make sure that I use various words and look at body language, look what they're doing with their eyes, look whether they're writing down notes, to try and get a sense of whether this guy's fobbing me off, because on the 5th meeting he's had today, and he just wants to get home, and he's just saying yes because he knows I'll probably leave, or not. So I think a lot of it is follow-ups, communication, it's keeping people in the loop, and really backing up what you said. I tried to make sure I don't overpromise, so I think that would definitely be something that I would definitely do. I don't know if that answers your question, but
right.
If not, we can have a chat later.
Okay, next question. Oh, you get a sticker. Forgot to tell you that part. Yeah, just what you're looking for. Okay. Who's up next? Oh, hold on. Let me get you a mic.
So right now you are, your coaching company is your primary focus.
I just saw my business like 8 weeks ago. So I'm sort of in a bit of a rebound at the minute. So trying to cleanse myself of letting go of that thing, which is really scary. When you build a business from scratch, and I'm sure a lot of people here have done that, and then you sell it to someone, it's like giving your child up for adoption. And I've never done that, but I imagine it's not very great. So I've sort of let my company go that I started from scratch, and I'm trying to stay away from it because I know it's in other hands now, and the last thing I want to do is sort of keep popping in there. So Tony just invited me over as part of my sort of cleansing process to come here and check out what you guys are doing, which is pretty awesome.
Someone to come to Las Vegas to get cleansed.
Absolutely. Go me.
So I guess what you're saying is you need more hugs as well. So you've been taking hugs later as well. And you've been doing yoga every day too.
Every day,
Yeah,
pretty much.
So it's a cleanse. Okay, who's up next? We think we got time for about one more, if there's one more person has a question.
Behind you.
Oh, Spree, I didn't see you.
So if people want to work with you one-on-one, how can they get in touch with you so they could really, I mean, you really affected me. So how can everybody else have
Hopefully
the
in a
same
positive
impact
way.
that you had in my, no, you had a life-changing impact in my life. So how can you give that to everybody? Like, how does that work? How do we get in touch with you?
Okay, so I've always had a number of hours in my month where I give for free to anybody that wants to contact me and anybody that wants a conversation. I've done that via Skype, via phone call, face-to-face in Sydney. I limit that to 10 hours a month because I've been very busy. Then I also have paid coaching time and paid mentoring time that I've done with some various people as well. I limited it historically because I was running a business, and anyone that's run a fast growth startup business knows that it's probably about an 80-hour-a-week commitment. So I may have much more time for that, but hey, just reach out for me. My email is mark.rowland@mac.com. Treads to Mark is my Twitter. So, and I'll be here till Wednesday. So if anyone would like to grab a coffee, a juice, whatever, I'm around. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. Really appreciate your story.